There's something about clocks. We barely notice them, and yet they command our attention. Where does time go, we ask one another. Mostly it seems to have disappeared, at least the sound of time, thanks to today's mostly silent timekeeping. Oh, how those of us who grew up falling asleep to the ticks of a wind-up clock miss that mechanical thing, with its civilized bell, instead of that annoyingly insistent blaring mosquito of an alarm we wake up to nowadays. It is comforting to know that sometime, somewhere in North Carolina today, someone who appreciates time's seemingly slower, more embraceable cadences is winding a clock by hand. Mostly around town squares, in clock towers of various measure, reached only by repeated, often twisting flights of stairs. The mechanisms that await the special touch of the clock keeper are wonderfully wrought marvels with myriads of patient cams and gears. Tripping levers, swinging pendulums, and who knows what, working in perfect synchrony to provide the public with one of the unique experiences of small-town life. The sound of time. Each of these clocks is loved, and glory of glories not at all quiet. And what a splendid song they make.
Now, this is a wonderful marvel of engineering that goes back more than 200 years. Salem was begun in 1766 as the central community of the Moravian settlements here in what we called Wachovia. We needed to bring a sort of regular operation to the community. That meant keeping track of time. I'm sorry that people outside cannot hear this regular thump, thump, thump of the escape mechanism, and as the pendulum, this 10-foot pendulum, swings back and forth. But standing here feeling with my hand on the frame, I can feel it. It's like a heartthrob. The clock provides a heartbeat for this community.
I've always liked clocks, so to be able to be around the city's most famous clock and take care of it, it's almost like a dream come true. We have to wind it twice a day, and because it is as old as it is, you never can get it exactly right. So we more or less, we just guess at what the time is. Something like this, you got to really be interested in. And I waited on this job for a whole year before I got it. I wanted this job. It's almost like a little piece of history.
Not that far away, under the same incredible arc of Carolina blue sky, lies a picturesque courthouse in which a clock still marks time for the citizens of Hillsborough in Orange County.
You get to the point where you have a relationship with the clock where you can hear when the clock's in good shape or when it's not. My ear is tuned to it like having a baby, you know. The thing doesn't strike the hour, I go into panic mode and run up the stairs. As far as we know, it's the oldest unmodified tower clock in North America. And this expert told me that it was basically the cheapest clock you could buy in its day. But it took a licking, it kept ticking, and I hear engineers use the word elegant about a solution when it's as simple as possible. And this here is an elegant solution. I mean, it tells time, and it tells time accurately with a number of parts that you can count without really giving yourself a headache. It's just a nifty machine. And you watch something like this, and I've never done that. I have never done that I didn't smile. I've never done it with other people around that they didn't smile.
And that's the way it is all across North Carolina, where these wonderful clocks may be found. There's a lot of pride in maintaining them and boasting about them too. In Henderson, both tasks fall to the local firemen because the clock is in their firehouse.
It's functional, and it's really the symbol of the city of Henderson. Back in 1991, when the city celebrated its 150th year anniversary, it kind of took it on and really made it the city symbol. We kind of jumped on it prior to that. We put it in our shoulder patch. The city also incorporated the city clock tower and the city flag. It's just part of the history of the city of Henderson, and we're very proud of it. The firefighters here in Henderson, we take pride in it, and we take ownership in it, and we keep it and maintain it.
Evidence of that ownership? The clock tower was used at one time to drive fire hoses, and by the names of firemen who took care of the place scratched on the clock tower walls over the years. Henderson's clock has been electrified, so there's no winding task, like there is in Yanceyville, our next clock stop. But as with them all, a certain series of events has to occur to create the main event. When the clock strikes.
It's setting up now, and it sets up about maybe 30 seconds before it goes off. And then it raises the hammer up and this like this, and that's how you get your force to pull the bell. There it goes.
Interestingly, Yanceyville's clock was electrified at one time as well, and then was reconverted. It also survived a fire, not to mention a good deal of neglect, after which the clock parts wound up scattered all over town.
Well, we kept looking for parts, and nobody knew where the pendulum ball was. So Ms. Anderson was in charge of the historical museum in town, and I said something to Ms. Anderson about it, and she said, "No, Leon, I don't know anything about the pendulum ball." And I said, "Well, it would weigh about 15 to 25 pounds, and it would have a hole right down in the middle of it." She said, "Oh, we keep the door propped open in the historical room with that." So that was amazing that we found that.
Madison, North Carolina, too, enjoys the revival of its town clock. Originally dedicated as a memorial to the doughboys of World War I, it also had stopped running at one time, even after considerable repairs had been invested. To the rescue came a tinkerer of sorts, a retired engineer who happened to have a small machine shop in his basement.
And they just asked me to look at it. Out of desperation, looking after it ever since, essentially. But it takes a lot of attention because it will change time with the change in the temperatures. You know, when it's colder, it runs slower. When it's warmer, it runs faster. But I get stopped on the street and people say, you know, I remember when I was young, I could hear that clock chime and that was my curfew time to come home.
These clocks have a great deal of social value, it seems, and they are worthy of great care. Consider the thoughts of Hillsborough's Tom Magnuson.
I think that's why the clock winders come up here. They feel like they're participating, feel like they have a piece of the town, and that they're doing something good. And there is a certain meditative quality. I've never gone to sleep up here. But I have come back down the stairs with my blood pressure lower than it was when I went up the stairs.
There is something calming about the art and craft of keeping time. It's almost as if the regular sounds that clocks make mimic our own breathing. So the next time you have the opportunity, pause and listen as one of these glorious clocks gives forth in full voice with its splendid sound. You will be transfixed, even for but a moment, in time.